The story takes place in the year 1281, when Japan sends its bravest samurai across the sea to confront the invading Mongol army. Before the battle can truly begin, a massive tsunami destroys the enemy fleet and wipes out the Japanese forces as well. Every warrior perishes except one. A samurai named Riku regains consciousness on the shore of an unknown island, with a sharp piece of wood pierced straight through his leg. Barely able to move, Riku drags himself using a rope and notices what appears to be the lifeless body of a young boy. To his shock, the boy suddenly stands up and runs away as if nothing happened. Riku realizes he is hallucinating. Using the broken remains of his sword, he pulls the wooden spike from his leg, bandages the wound, and limps along the shoreline in search of help or water. By nightfall, his water supply is gone, and he takes shelter inside a cave. Once again, the boy appears, leading Riku into the forest before disappearing. The child is a vision of one of Riku's two sons, memories of whom haunt him. The following morning, the hallucinations continue, this time taking the form of his wife. When he sees what looks like her body on the beach, it vanishes as well, confirming that his mind is betraying him. Exhausted by grief and despair, Riku hears the voices of his family and nearly gives up, deciding to walk into the sea. At that moment, the voices fall silent, and in the distance, he sees a mountain resembling Mount Fuji. That familiar sight restores his will to live. He gathers logs and drags them inland, eventually discovering a magnificent waterfall and a source of fresh water. With renewed purpose, Riku begins to survive properly. He sharpens his broken blade, hunts for food, and even creates ink from charcoal and water. Using a stick and strands of hair, he fashions a brush and writes haiku, preserving his identity as a samurai despite his isolation. Days pass, his wounds heal, and though memories of his family still pain him, his determination grows stronger. Eventually, Riku climbs the mountain and builds a ritual torii gate. Preparing himself for an honorable death. He leaves behind a final message stating that pain sustained his life and love will sustain him in death. Just as he prepares to commit seppuku, island natives destroy the torii gate, capture him, and bind him. Riku is transported by boat to a settlement where a masked warrior claims ownership over him. Other prisoners are present, including one missing a leg. It soon becomes clear that these people are cannibals who plan to eat the captives slowly. The tribe's shaman even treats Riku's wound to keep him alive longer. One prisoner has his remaining leg amputated using Riku's own sword, while others are tortured, mutilated, and forced to drink their own blood. Drugged and surrounded by death, Riku realizes he is trapped in true hell. After being forced to drink from a horn, his consciousness fades, and he once again sees his sons, who demand 50 pirate heads. Accepting this vision, Riku suddenly speaks, shocking the cannibals, and declares that the heads on their shoulders belong to him. Using his training, Riku overpowers his guards, killing them with stones, rope, and sheer will. Though decapitation with primitive tools is difficult, he succeeds. Still hallucinating, he explores the caves and discovers massive piles of human skulls. Meanwhile, the cannibal tribe conducts a ritual, passing leadership to the chief's son, the same brutal warrior now holding Riku's samurai sword. The overweight captive, left with only one remaining limb, was prepared as a ritual meal for the group of cannibals. Before his death, he looked directly at Riku, who stood silently, forced to witness the horrifying act. Shortly after, a drunken native discovered what the foreigner had done. The severed heads of the guards were mounted on a pole, and Riku himself had already escaped into the forest. The newly appointed chief immediately ordered the tribe to begin the hunt. Armed with crude bone weapons, the cannibals landed on the island's shore, the same place where they had first found the Japanese warrior. They spread through the forest, searching for him, unaware that Riku was stalking them instead. One by one, he killed them from behind. The warriors failed to hear him because monkeys were screaming loudly throughout the jungle, masking every sound. At one point, Riku attacked 3 enemies at once and dispatched them effortlessly. A larger group moved into an open field. Riku shot 2 of them with a bow, forcing the rest to hide in the tall grass. One native attempted a direct charge and was struck with an arrow straight through the eye. As the group retreated, they lost 2 more warriors. Even while moving through the battlefield, Riku continued to write his haiku, reflecting on his past. Once, he had collected the heads of his enemies, but found no joy in their rotting remains. The shaman eventually spotted a lone figure standing motionless ahead. In reality, Riku had prepared a trap. He had lit multiple fires to create thick smoke and armed himself with a sharpened wooden spear. Moving through the smoke, the experienced warrior slaughtered the natives with astonishing ease. Terrified, the shaman retreated and returned to the chief, who stood staring at another haiku Riku had left behind. The message was clear. Riku had found them, and now they feared him. Shouting in panic, the tribe charged toward the smoke, calling him a demon. Riku waited for them by the shoreline, where he discovered a full samurai sword that had been carried in by the tide. Holding the weapon, he reflected on how deeply he missed his family. The chief removed his mask and ordered his men to attack, though he himself stayed back. The cannibals rushed Riku, but their deaths became even more pointless once he wielded a complete katana. Attempts to kill him from a distance with spears failed completely. Riku, however, struck with deadly precision. One wave of attackers after another ran forward, only to be cut down, continuing the slaughter. Riku kills the cannibals with a smile on his face. For the first time in a long while, life once again feels worth living. Instead of waiting, the samurai himself charges toward the remaining savages, slowly closing the distance to the tribe's chief. The leader sends forward his strongest warrior, a madman who charges Riku on all fours. He dodges the katana while another fighter even bites down on the blade itself. The plan is clumsy and desperate, but it gives the lunatic enough time to strike Riku several times. More enemies rush in and grab Riku by the arms, but he breaks free and cuts down the madman's wife in front of him. The curly-haired warrior charges again, trying to intimidate the samurai. He attacks, retreats, and circles Riku like a wild animal, leaping around him like a monkey. Eventually, Riku grabs his leg and slices through his Achilles tendon. Even crippled, the warrior keeps fighting. Riku wounds him repeatedly and finally kills him, only to be struck from behind with a club. The chief stands aside and orders the shaman to enter the fight, claiming he is a legendary warrior beyond comparison. By this point, an exhausted Riku has already slaughtered the entire crowd and begins walking toward the chief. He speaks calmly, acknowledging that he always knew Riku was special and that the next fight would be no different. The shaman removes his necklace made of vertebrae, lays it on the sand, and grips his fighting staff. Though smaller, the shaman proves to be fast and skilled, far more dangerous than the others. He keeps Riku at bay, expertly controlling distance with his staff. But in a single leap, Riku shatters the weapon. The shaman grabs the sword with his bare hand, delaying the inevitable only for a moment. In seconds, Riku slashes open his stomach and then cuts his throat. Now there is no one left for the tribe's chief to hide behind. He holds a massive bone axe and challenges Riku to reclaim his sword. The powerful leader strips himself of anything unnecessary, prays to his bone mask, and charges forward. This final opponent is strong and relentless. He throws sand into Riku's eyes and wounds him several times. A brutal axe strike sends the samurai flying, but Riku refuses to die. He strikes back, cutting the chief's leg. The battle continues fiercely. During the struggle, the broken sword is knocked into the air. Riku catches it and slashes the chief again. Wielding 2 blades, he drives the enemy toward the sea, but the chief fights back desperately. He forces Riku into the water and begins drowning him. At the edge of death, Riku once again sees his wife dancing before him. Drawing strength from the vision, he breaks free, rises to his feet, and drives his sword straight through the chief's head. With the second blade, he severs it completely. In a single day, the lone samurai wipes out the entire cannibal tribe. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thanks for watching.